PSA BizTech Podcast, where we will be discussing the business and technology behind Neff Automation, an industrial automation distributor that also provides some integrated value-add solutions. So today we are joined by two fellows from Neff Automation, Matt Paioletti, the automation product sales manager, and Ben Mintz, the sales team leader. They've both been the cornerstones there at Neff Automation for give or take 12 years and are responsible for supporting and guiding Neff's Western New York and PA sales teams, providing value-added solutions to their customer base. Hey, Matt and Ben, how you guys doing today?
Good. How you doing, Joe?
We're doing very well. Hey, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. So before we jump right into this, let me just talk a little bit about Neff Automation, who that is, so they can kind of frame it right for our customers here, our listeners. So Neff Automation is a fourth generation family-owned high-tech distributor. They specialize in providing products for process automation and manufacturing and developing custom solutions to enhance and improve productivity in a wide variety of industries. Their mission is to provide automation solutions designed to enhance their customers' competitiveness, achieved by selling only top quality products backed by a team of engineers, industry experts, and a dedicated customer service team. So to learn more about Neff Automation, you can visit their website at www.neffautomation.com. All right, guys. Hey, you ready to jump into this?
Yeah, that was a fantastic intro, Joe. We appreciate that. And thanks for having us on.
Hey, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry, it kind of got a little dark in here all of a sudden. I think we might have a dark cloud going by here down in Delaware. I just noticed my screen got like a little dark. But anyhow, so guys, so you've been with Neff for a while. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves? And Matt, why don't we start with you and just fill us in about yourself and how you became to work at Neff Automation.
Yeah, we'll do. I started sort of my automation journey in the 90s. I worked at a company that was big in filtration. So I helped build automated equipment to manufacture filters for GE locomotives and dust collection and things of that nature. And I did that for about 16 years. And I actually bought from what was Intech back then, Neff today. And I was just looking for a change of pace, something new after 16 years of doing the same thing. And my sales guy was like, "Hey, you should try sales out." And that's where the sales career began. And I stopped the whole engineering piece. But that's the short of it right there.
Oh, beautiful. Ben, how about yourself?
Yeah, not necessarily the same story as Matt, but in a roundabout way. Spent 9 years about in two different manufacturing companies as an engineer. The latter part of my career at a company called Bodine Electric, which is actually on our line card today, but they're a motor and drive manufacturer. I worked in the sales and marketing group. So for the last couple years there, I had the opportunity to travel with the sales team to see how the products we were making in the factory get used at the customer. And I think that's where my passion for wanting to see more of that started. And that's what brought me to Neff, actually.
Okay. So I think Neff, if I recall correctly, Neff Elite is a pretty decent sized organization, right? I mean, they're not just in Western PA, Western New York, some of the but they're also in Ohio, right? So it's a big company. You guys, were you involved in another company prior to Neff? Was it Intech, or is that how you got involved with the Neff organization?
Correct. Yeah, there was.
So Neff was out there, and you guys were doing work, both of you, or just one of you?
We both are from Intech, from the original Intech. Intech was formed in the 80s here in Pittsburgh, and we were acquired by Neff in 2014.
Great. So Neff now, okay, let's talk about Neff. So from what you understand, a fourth generation company, right? So very well entrenched in the family type of sense and feel, correct? And is that something that, so when you joined Neff, through the acquisition of Intech, knowing that you're joining into like a fourth generation type family owned company. Did that give you like some sort of sense of security in that when you're able to join such a robustly aged company of that with that fourth generation?
Yeah, I would say absolutely. Not knowing at the time, when you go through an acquisition, everybody can be a little uneasy because you're not sure what's going to happen. But coming from Intech as a 25 to 35 person company, going to a 250 person company roughly with Neff, what that brought, and we didn't really know at the time, was resources like Matt, where we now have product managers and application engineers. It also brought internal resources where we have more stocking locations now than we did before, and we have those processes and procedures in place to help us maintain that. Where before it was not that Intech was bad by any means, but more of Intech was very focused on technology, not necessarily the back end business side, where Neff brings that along and we can continue to focus on technology.
Yeah, and you have a strong network of vendors that support you through that, do you not?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think we counted recently over 50 vendors that are on our line card, that we represent, and we're very good. We sit on some distributor councils with some of those partners, and we have a good sense of where they're going, and we actually have a say in how they go to market and what business they want to do as well. So it works out very well. Absolutely.
And that's great. And how's the culture there at Neff within your group? I mean, were you able to maintain some of the relationships and the culture that you had within your team, and then spreading that out into the Neff network? I'm sure there is some challenges when you are being acquired, but adopting that culture, were they able to amalgamate some of your culture into their business as well?
I would say, and Matt can maybe talk as well. Me personally, when you have a lot of like-minded people together at an organization, meaning that have a strong passion for what we do, we might not sit in the same geography or the same area or service the same types of customers, but we all have a similar passion, and I think that passion really helps bring us together. I'll jokingly say this, so you might want to edit it out, but like Matt and I are almost like work husband and wife because we spend so much time together. But it just works. Like, we share a passion and we enjoy doing what we do, and I think it shows.
And I think the other thing that's important, the Neff being a family-owned company, they don't expect us to run our business the same way as the group in Indiana does, or the group in Michigan does, or the group in Wisconsin does, or the group in the New England states does. So we've been given a lot of latitude to say, you kind of run the business how you guys see fit. So it really didn't change the culture much from necessarily our passion for manufacturing, that we just kind of kept going kind of as is, stayed the course, if you will.
Well, that's very important. I think from the perspective of going through acquisitions, PSA Systems went through a few acquisitions too over the years as we were growing, and we try to maintain some of that too. Certainly bring them into the PSA culture, right, what we're trying to do in our mission. But when you have offices that are remotely and have worked so well together for years, right? You don't want to upset that apple cart. You want to accept them in there. They have their culture, their philosophies, and the way they've done business, and you don't want to upset that. So I can completely appreciate that. And that's awesome that that's able to happen for you guys. So kudos to that. So now you have a group of sales guys and some technical sales engineers underneath of you guys, or they work with you. How many of those individuals are within your network?
So Neff as a whole, there's probably 55 roughly sales engineers, and about 30 support application or product managers. So we're big on support because we sell high tech things, we have to be able to not only understand them at a certain level from the sales perspective, but we have to have people that understand them deeper. So we have the support mechanisms like Matt here and his team, that he has application engineers that work under him. Each branch has their own versions of that as well. So we're quite heavy on the support side.
Right. No, that's great. Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think it back to we talked about earlier about the Intech days. We were very much on an island, and you had to act as your own sort of technical resource and your own sales resource, and it's been very great for our sales team to come along and be able to scale, to have the resources. And it's not just my group. We have those same resources on the pneumatic side, on the structural side. So depending on what your needs are as a sales engineer, you can pull in those resources whenever you need them. So it really helps those guys scale a lot better. And it helps our customers because, most salesmen in a situation we were prior, they end up being support function as well, which really is burdening. So now we have those application engineers that go out and solve the problems when there's a post-sale.
All right, so we were talking a little bit earlier there about the deep bench that you guys have with all your technical sales and application engineers, right? So having that deep bench and knowing that you're an industrial automation distributor and you add a little bit of value-added solutions, how do you guys take that to market?
I would say it's a multi-tiered approach, but it can change depending on the people. And what I mean by that is we go to market. We have an internal marketing team, so we're assisted by them. We have marketing through our partners, which are our manufacturing partners. We have our own internal strategies where we like to do certain, I would say, training expos or product expos. The room we're sitting in now, I don't know how much of it you can see, but it's littered with several different types of products, whether it's pneumatic, vacuum, electromechanical, robotics. This is one of our training rooms, so we like to bring in customers to us and give them the proper training on the products or the technology, so they're more educated. So that strategy varies depending on the customer or the geography that we're in, but it all applies. And a big part of it, I would say, is education. I think there's a gap in how people are educated in the manufacturing side, and we spend a lot of our time just out there training and getting people up to speed on what technology is available that can help them. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. And so who are some of your partners or your vendors, which are, like, I would say, the big vendors that you guys rely on, quite a bit through, your relationships and how you bring those products to market, the ones that support you quite often. Can you expand on that a little bit? I'm sure there's some that you like to promote out there as well.
Sure. I'll mention a few because I think it is important. So our valve line is called Mac Valves. We absolutely love them. We have several awards on the wall over here. Those awards are not only because of how we sell the product, but because of how we share information within a larger network, which a lot of people aren't aware of. But there's what's called the MDN. We're part of a global network of distributors, and that's for Mac Valves and PhD, which is our pneumatic and electromechanical actuator line. That network allows us, when we can, to share information with other companies in our network that provide solutions. So, for example, if I do something at a company in Pennsylvania that is applicable to a company in California or somewhere across the world, we have the conduit to share that information, and then they can go solve that same problem at another customer, or even the same, because you'd be surprised how even companies, large companies, don't share information internally. We have a method to share information for them internally and then go solve that problem at one of their sister facilities.
Well, is that like a community network? There are some of our vendors that has a community network where you can blog on it, you can share successes or share ideas, or is it kind of like that?
Yes, there is. Yeah, kind of like that.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty formalized though.
It goes probably a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Because we end up building strong relationships with distribution channels across the country. So when we go to an event, as an example, like I was at the grand opening for Universal Robots' new building in Denmark last week, and I was with some folks from FPE Automation out of Chicago, and we can kind of collaborate not only on the Mac and PhD stuff that we share jointly, but also the other lines that we share together. What's working for you folks? Where you guys see success? So it's a pretty significant relationship we managed to build there, and it's been put together for us. So it's been extremely valuable.
Yeah, and Joe, it's important to note the means in which we can do that and why we can do that is because we have exclusivity. So we're not fighting with other distributors in the territory that can go chase after that same thing. They allow us that exclusivity, but they expect a lot from us in return, which is completely fine because we love the information we can get from our network. And that helps too, because if let's say one of our, like yourselves, PSA, builds a piece of equipment in Pennsylvania that we supply components on and it gets shipped somewhere across the country, well, let's say it's one of our components. Probably won't be, but let's just say it is one of our components. The distributor in Texas or California or wherever it gets shipped to, under contract, is responsible to service that component on the machine for you at no charge.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. So
we heavily value our partners. So those are two. Matt can probably name a few more, but that puts us in a different.
Matt, I heard you mention UR, right? Yep. So Matt, you did mention UR. That has to be a great partnership for you to take time and expense to fly to Denmark.
Yeah,
to visit. That's pretty awesome.
It was.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was very significant. They're based out of Odense. And in Denmark, and we actually met with like the governor just because of they're very large on the map as a robotics hub in Europe, and so they're very significant for me. I think you see the push for cobots out in the market as well. We have a lot of companies that are starting their journey in automation with companies like Universal Robots and how they've really simplified some of the programming. But we also, Kawasaki is very important. Yamaha is a company I wish more people knew about them. They're a fantastic automation company to work with immense support for the products post and pre and post sale. They do a great job. There are many engineers that work there, and they'll get out and even help on startups, things like that. So those are very significant. We're working with Matrox now, who was bought by Zebra, and they're also very significant. Certainly PIAB, a little more on your side. So
we could do a whole podcast on all of our manufacturing partners.
There's many of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, so that's good. So not only do you have like a deep bench, within your sales team, but you also in the applications team. But as you mentioned even earlier, you have a really strong bench of vendor partners that you can rely on, and some exclusivity, some they're just great partners to have, attached, to your line card there. And then it also, I imagine, helps you also offer those value added solutions, because I know you guys do some of that as well. So talk a little bit about what do you look for in a value-add solution? How far do you go in the integration realm? And then when do you look for other partners, maybe other integrators like a PSA to help out?
I guess I can. I would say it's been a progression, and and I don't know if it's linear or if it's in a roundabout way, where it really started with the customers asking us to, for example, make a pneumatic manifold and put the fittings in it, and then supply some tubing. That's really where it started. That's what we called value add at the beginning. As our product portfolio grew, for example, we picked up 80/20, which is a great partner of ours, so it's aluminum extrusion. We provided value by having an internal design team that could help the customer finish off their design. Well, then they wanted us to build it. So we would build the frame system for a customer, strictly 80/20. So we have a whole process in place for that. As we got more into the robotic side, customers wanted us to provide, for example, hey, we want the robot, but we also want something on the end of it, because as you know, can't really do anything with a naked robot. It has to have more to it, right? Mm-hmm. So we would get to now supplying and designing the end of arm tool. And sometimes we use our partners like PSA, for example. They have a whole service internally that will design the end of arm tool for you. And I would say if we were to draw a line, it's small standalone type systems like that with, for example, a robot on a cart with an end effector, and kind of call it a day. When it gets beyond that, we're looking for our partners to get involved, like PSA and some of our other integration partners that are highly specialized. And we've spent, I'd say, the greater part of the last 8 years trying to identify those partners who are very specialized in what they do. Machine tool, welding, palletizing, pick and place type stuff, high speed assembly machines. We have a list of, I would say, qualified suppliers that we can lean on at any given time. And that really helps us build confidence with our customer base. Not everything's for us.
Great.
Yeah. I think the other. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Matt.
I think the other caveat is we often, and I'm sure you experience this when you get into companies that haven't done the integration piece ever. They're very new to it. You know, how do they build out that scope of work if they've never done that before? And I think a lot of times we meet customers and we have to decide whether it's something we can help with or something we need to bring like a PSA into. And it helps that we've qualified these different partners so that we know, what, you guys have a pretty broad, you'll do palletizing, you'll do other equipment as well, so we can use you for a variety of things, but making sure that people understand that, hey, you have mechanical abilities, right? This is a fixture heavy project. We can bring PSA in because they have the resources and the skills to do that kind of a job. We find a lot of times people just go out and they get the first integrator they come across on a Google search, and that might not be the right integrator for their problem, but most integrators are going to do their best to get that bid if they can get that bid. So I find that we're very, we try to educate the customers on, hey, this company is a really good fit for your problem. So there's a confidence that we bring them, and then we can bring in someone like a PSA to then solve the problem.
Right. And then so now there's opportunities that you guys have where you're trying to link up your end customers, your vendors, even your integration partners like a PSA and others, bring them all together in what you guys call like manufacturing expos. I know you just had 2 of those. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Kind of recently, almost like back to back. Tell me a little bit about manufacturing expos, the importance of those, and why you do it, because it's got to be a tremendous effort pulling them together. And I just want to understand a little bit about that and what kind of benefits you see from it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a focus for us certainly in the last several years. Not everybody can go to a big national show, right? So you have your PAC Expos, you have your Fab Techs, you have your Automates. We've put most of our focus, time, and energy, and resources and money into bringing the shows to the local geographies in which we cover. The 2 we did recently were in northwestern Pennsylvania. We partner with local trade organizations also, which is the ones we just did recently were with the NTMA locally in Meadville, and the other one was the NWIRC, which is an MEP center in Pennsylvania. We all jointly get together. There's months, probably 4 to 5 months of planning ahead of time to make sure we get all the venues, to make sure we have all the technology partners. So it's not just a Neff Expo. To your point, Joe, it's a technology expo. So we bring in, there's 15 to 20 Neff partners there, but we also bring in complementary products that Neff doesn't sell. So 3D printers, laser marking systems, other robotics companies and technology partners are there as well. We just find it much better when we do that, because we could do a Neff Expo and just show everything that we do, and they're successful. But we've found it's far greater success rate bringing in our partners to do the expos with us, and then partnering with the local organizations that also support manufacturing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How many of those do you do a year?
This year we'll do 2. Those are the only 2 we're going to do.
We have one in New York. We have one in New York. It's fairly sizable, but
okay.
not as it doesn't have some of the external partners, but we do several, and as much as we can kind of squeeze in, because it does take a lot of planning. To your point, our marketing group's been awesome for that, though. It's been a world of difference when you have a good marketing group that can kind of help move the needle.
Yeah, it's the feedback. We've done it several times. Rarely do we get anything negative. It's all positive feedback. And in that case, we're going to continue to do it and look for other locations. Right now, we're starting to plan 2025. We have Pittsburgh slated as a place we've actually never done it before, and this is where our office is. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a Pittsburgh 2025, probably sometime in the summertime.
Awesome. We look forward to that. So, the last couple of years have been pretty trying, right, in both the distribution, integration, just in the world in general, manufacturing. So a lot of things have been focusing and moving towards automation, and I'm sure you're seeing it. And then some of the technicality of automation has been increasing too, with like AI, and that's the big word, right? And where do you guys see it going, from here as a distributor and a solution provider, pulling things together? Where do you see me going in the next couple of years down the road?
Probably leaning on my trip to Denmark, there was some great keynotes that were there, and it was really amazing to listen to them talk about the future. And AI is a word that we hear so often. There was some really good memes after Automate on AI, but ultimately, the future that we talked about and the keynotes talked about is really how AI and digital twin is going to start changing the face of automation, because we can figure out how to build products more efficiently in the digital space than we can in real time, right? If every system you built, and you've done lots of them, I'm sure there's times you look back and you go, I wish I would have done that differently, right? Or I built equipment for many years, and I always, hindsight's always 20/20. But with the advent of generative AI and digital twinning, we can start to put those things into the virtual space and run iterations and go, okay, here's 150 ways we can approach this particular product assembly, and pick the best one. And I think that's going to be very significant moving forward, and it's not as far away as I think people believe. It's there's already some models out there that are being tested, and I see them in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Great. Well, listen, I really appreciate you guys being on the show. It's awesome. Love to learn a little bit more about yourselves and about Neff and how they go to market and the strong history there. Let's wrap it up with a little success story. If you had a chance to think about one, and anything you want to share with us.
Several. I think what we talked about a bit earlier was how we were in our training room, right? Like we really take pride in training. We really take pride in providing solutions that customers need, and then educating that customer into basically taking it upon themselves to make it work. And then hopefully when they do that, they find the next opportunity in their facility themselves, and they bring us in to help along the way. So there's several customers I can probably cite that have done that. One in particular, and I won't name the customer, but they're in northwestern PA as well, where they took just somebody off of the floor who had a not a technical degree, but was a tech at the facility, so they worked on the equipment, made them their own internal robotics specialist, where that gentleman is now fully responsible for all. They have 8 universal robots on their floor right now, and he has programmed and implemented all 8 of them himself. Where he came from no background at all in robotics. We helped him with training, with application support, and now he's kind of self-sufficient. And it's just to me, it's a great story because they identified along the way more opportunities as they got better educated on the product.
Wow, that's
just one of
Matt,
them.
do you have anyone you want to share? I'm sure they're just a number, but that's a good one there.
Yeah, it's most of mine are in the same vein. We pride ourselves on. I think a lot of people get out there and work with different manufacturers, and it's why I do what I do. I love taking companies that really don't have any automation, haven't really experienced what that's like, and it's a slow process, but working with those, and there's many, but we work with them from the ground up, and we identify a champion. We work to get them trained. We do jointly. Maybe we do the first deployment together. So we take some responsibility, and we ask them to take some responsibility. But that happens countless times every year, and it feels good when you see them looking at that cell and smiling and going, wow. And generally the output is, I'm sure you experienced this, where many times we put it in there, we expect that we can be 110, 120%, get a really good gain on productivity, and ends up being even double that, because they don't realize it. This thing doesn't stop. This thing just keeps working. It doesn't take any breaks. It doesn't go to the bathroom, things like that. So, and then you're also bringing up the skill level internally, which is great for the company as well, great for retention for the company when we bring these projects to those companies. So,
yeah, those are good all successes all around. So again, hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate you joining the PSA BizTech Podcast. So one more time, where do we get to find you guys? What's the website to reach out, check you guys out?
Yeah, absolutely. www.neff, that's NEFF automation.com. I'm Ben Mintz. Joe, we really appreciate the time and your partnership as well, as we all look to help better manufacturing here in the States.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.